welcome back. I promised a political video on the ins and outs of the whole contaminated food imports and what countries can do about them and why it's a little bit more complicated than just, well, we just won't buy rice from China, Taiwan, India, or in Italy anymore. And it really isn't that simple. Because of the World Trade Organization, there are special procedures and special rules that countries have to go through. You can't just wholesale ban a product from another country without facing certain ramifications and without going through a specific process. And the WTO's process is very complicated. It involves review panels who will look at evidence and look at more evidence and go through hearings and make decisions and then make other decisions. It's long and drawn out. It can take at least a year, but it could take even longer. One example of this is when the European communities, the EC, tried to ban any beef containing any hormones at all. And the US and Canada then went to block that ban. This went through the WTO. It was initially filed in 1996, and it wasn't resolved until 2011. And if a country is found to be at fault in banning another country's export, they are fined and they face pretty serious ramifications. So for a lot of countries, it isn't worth it to go through the official WTO process. What they prefer to do is work things out quietly amongst themselves. One example of countries working something out on their own is with the BSE scare. Russia, among other countries, banned British beef at the height of the BSE scare, and then other countries lifted their bans way before Russia did. Russia didn't lift their ban for a long time, like last year. And it's a good example of how working something out without the WTO's involvement can lead to a little bit of messiness in your relationship. And when it comes to rice specifically, the US has actually done a lot of complaining about other countries' controls on the US's export of rice. So politically speaking, just in terms of maintaining positive international relations, my guess is that they might feel a little bit icky about complaining about someone else's rice product when they're also trying to force other countries to accept more of their own rice product. Now, I personally have never been a huge fan of world trade, especially when it comes to food. I strongly believe that countries should grow as much of their own food as possible and keep their food within their own borders as much as possible. Not because I don't think it's nice to trade with other people, and not because I don't think people should be exposed to a variety of the world foods, but because A, exporting food and importing food creates a whole lot of excess pollution. It means the food is picked before it's really ready to be picked so that it's not overripe by the time it arrives at its final destination. But also because it means that the people of a country have access to a food source that is not only local, but also more affordable because it bypasses all of the tariffs that are added when food is imported and exported. Having said that, most countries now are pretty codependent, and the odds that they're going to just suddenly stop importing and exporting food are really low. Primarily because of the nature of the way food is grown now. Most countries specialize in a few major crops, which means that they're dependent heavily upon other countries specializing in other crops and then exchanging with them. What it comes down to is that, well, it would be really nice to say, hey, this product is riddled with crap and we don't want to eat it anymore. It's actually just not that simple. The US has to think about its relationship with other countries in terms of how well they get along, how well they want to continue to get along, how dependent they are on those countries importing and exporting their own products before they make any decisions. Additionally, it would probably be a good idea before anyone implements any trade bans or starts renegotiating any trade agreements to do a wider base of testing. Make sure absolutely 100% positive that they are finding what they think they're finding before they go accusing people. Because if they do try to implement a ban or renegotiate trade agreements and the WTO does get involved, they could face very serious consequences for making false accusations. That's it from me for today. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos and want to subscribe, you can do so at youtube.com/user/IshtaVlogs. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter. I also have a blog. Links are all in the description, and I'll see you tomorrow.